Welcome everyone. Let's talk quick about the rest of this week. Today, Motion Lab. There's a piece of paper back there. It's also linked in Canvas. The front page is instructions, and there's a lot of them, and I'm going to say extremely well written. They're detailed. They're very detailed. And the intent is you should be able to read through step by step by step by step and do this lab procedure. Page 1 is all procedural steps. When you're turning in this lab, okay, so that'll be lab number 3, 20% of an overall grade right now, so this is like a big chunk. I really only need page 2, because page 2 is where all the calculation, I don't need the instructions. I extremely well detailed wrote those, so I don't need page 1, but I do need page 2, and there's 2 different screenshots that I ask you to take along the way of your graphical analysis, okay, so that's today's lab. I'll talk through a few kind of basic ideas with it. Your 2 virtual days. Next week there's going to be a test. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do the test yet. In years past, I've done it over a course of 2 days, but I don't think we can do that this year. In the past, I've done 2 calculation portion of the test and a concept multiple choice portion of the test, and that's what this Socrative review is to review the concepts. People generally tend to struggle with the concept portion, the multiple choice portion of the test. So the intent of this is try to help you and give you a study aid. Now, you can take it as many times as you want. I think it says twice. I should just delete that. I want you to submit a screenshot of it. But you can do this as many times as you want to study. Okay, there's also going to be a calculation portion of the quiz, so I will push out, and I don't have it built yet, a Canvas quiz that has 5 different calculations on it, and the only thing you're going to be submitting is the answer. Okay, you're only submitting the answer, none of the work, but realize that you should be doing work to do these problems. But that's not what the quiz is going to grade, it's just did you get the question right or wrong. And then next week, like Wednesday or Thursday, we'll be taking that 1D motion test. It will not include graphs. We've already quizzed on graphs, so I'm not going to re-quiz on graphs again. But that's kind of what we have for the rest of this week and then late next week. Okay, so let's talk about this motion lab. The motion lab is going to be, I wonder if I should edit this out or just let it be authentic, organic maybe even in nature. All right, so we have a motion lab set up on this table. The microscope is not part of the motion lab. I just haven't cleaned up my biology lab yet. There is a computer operator and the motion, the marble roller / photo gate mover / measurer. Yep. So, what I think everything's probably pretty set up from the previous class, and I don't know why it just says me to stick all the way down. But we have there's a marble in here, in like the little like ring stand. There's a marble. There's 2 photo gates. There's a ramp, and there's a computer. In me a second. I don't know if I said that. Read the instructions. Read the instructions. Read the instructions. Basic idea though is your first ramp should be about 30 centimeters. That was not crucial from the bottom of the ring. Because what's going to happen is that marble is going to roll down the ramp, and it's going to kind of go, it's going to skip a few times. So we just kind of want to get past it. These are called photo gates. They detect light. When the marble rolls through it, the light will turn on. Once it's passed, the light should go off. Sometimes the light stays on permanently, and on the inside, on the cord side, there's a little trap door flap that can slide up and down. So you just got to move that up. So the light should be off. When you put your hands in there, you put a meter stick in there, the light will be on. All that's saying is the gate is closed. The beam of light isn't being detected on the other side. All these photo gates are really, they're light sensors that we can use to do a fair amount of precision timing. So the idea is if you take a marble, you roll it down the ramp, you go through the first photo gate, it's going to start a stopwatch. And then it rolls through the second photo gate, it stops the stopwatch. That's really all it does. And if we go through and we precisely measure how far the 2 photo gates are apart, 20 centimeters, 30 centimeters, 40 centimeters, 50 centimeters, if we know exactly how far apart they are, we have a fairly accurate time with a fairly accurate displacement, we can get a pretty good velocity calculation. Now, there's a couple things it talks about: adding a manual column, adding a calculated column. At the end, you need to remote do it from your lab quest. From your iPad, using graphical analysis, you have to do a new experiment data sharing. It walks you through all the examples, and it tells you the IP address on the computer. And the idea is it's going to grab all your data. Now, your graph will come out blank, but it's there. You just got to tell it what to graph. It doesn't tend to work from a phone because you're not on the same Wi-Fi, even if you're on guest Wi-Fi. And I kind of had the expectation that you know how to use graphical analysis because you did the using graphical analysis lab activity. I don't remember what it was. Followed by the Pi lab and the graph use it lab, where you graph data, you got slopes, and that's what we're going to do. Is we're going to graph data and we're going to get slopes of the line. So a couple things, yeah. So you're going to roll the marble through. You're going to set the gates. It tells you very specifically how far apart your gates are going to be. You go 20 centimeters, you roll it 3 times. Then you move them so they're 30 centimeters apart. From gate to gate is 30 centimeters. And you roll that 3 times. And then 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. I have 2 more photo gates. When you're measuring your photo gates, there's a couple different ways you can measure the photo gates. You need to have them certain distances apart. Consistency is the key. So if you want to measure from the crack to the crack, that's fine. If you want to measure from the front edge to the front edge, that's fine. If you want to measure from the back edge to the back edge, that's fine. Okay? So you can either measure from like, okay, sorry, I was out of the shot. Okay, you can measure from here to here, like from this edge to this edge. You can measure from that crack to crack, or from the far edge to the far edge. The idea is you just got to be consistent. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to roll that marble, and sometimes it's going to hit the photo gate and not go through the photo gate without touching it. And that's okay. This is not a good trial. So if it's a good trial, and it means it rolls through down the ramp through the photo gates without hitting anything, then you record the displacement in meters in the column that it tells you to, and I'll kind of make sure you're all doing it the right way. When you do not hit start, or once you hit start, don't hit stop, you get 10 minutes from data collection time till it times out. So you gotta get all your rolls in 10 minutes, okay? But once you hit start, just keep going. Sometimes when you move and you measure, your fingers are gonna trip the sensor, that's okay. It's just not a good trial, so you're not gonna put a displacement in. Just rolling the marble down the ramp does a pretty good job of resetting. Okay? It talks about how do you know which gate is gate 1 and gate 2. I'm pretty sure every every lab station had it set up properly last hour, but we can double check that. All you do is you stick your finger through the first gate, and on the computer it'll say like gate state 1 block or unblock. If your finger's between the lights on gate 1 should be blocked. If not, we got to flip flop them, but you can let me know if that's the case. That's that. Again, read the instructions, read the instructions, read the instructions. When you're done, clean up. Cleanup wise, we want to paper towel. Let's use white paper towel, not this brown stuff on the computer. Wipe down the keys and the mouse pad. I think the screens are probably going to be okay. You probably don't have to wipe those down. In terms of the meter sticks, a wipe of the meter sticks would be good. Same thing with that marble. If you want a different meter stick that wasn't used last hour, they're in that drawer. You're welcome to get a different one. There is hand sanitizer right here, right there, right there. Wipe the marble, wipe the ramp, wipe the gates, wipe the computers, wipe the lab station. You should have time to get this submitted today. I want 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Hey, they're sending me further. I have 6 lab stations partners. If you want to work by yourself, I have enough for 2 people to work individually. Okay? If we need to have 3 individuals, then I got to set something up. I can. But hopefully we can work together. Teamwork makes the dream work, as someone once told me. I don't remember who though. Okay, so you should be able to submit this before you go.